Hello and welcome to True Audiophiles. My name is Jim Carter. Before we get started with our special guest here, I want to just take this time to make a little bit of a dedication to Eddie Van Halen, who unfortunately passed away this week. Van Halen is definitely one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite bands of all times, and Eddie definitely inspired many of the bands that I've ended up listening to in my time listening to heavy metal and hard rock. Probably most of those people, anyways, after 1978 that made music after 1978. Anyways, so just wanted to take this time to acknowledge the passing of one of the greatest guitarists of all times and one of the biggest influences of hard rock and heavy metal guitarists of all time too. So wanted to kind of get that out of the way. Or not necessarily out of the way, but make a special dedication to that. So I'm here today with my daughter, and I'm trying a new segment that I'm hoping everybody will like. It's going to be called Dad versus Daughter, where I give her one of my favorite albums of all times to listen to, and we talk about what we feel about the album and whether she likes it, hates it, thinks it's the worst thing on the face of the planet. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a preface about this, I don't know how she feels about the album before we film this. Now, I think this one's probably a little bit of an exception only because I have a pretty good idea of how she feels about it already. That was partially because I was playing the album while she was listening to it while we started thinking about the idea of doing this kind of video segment. So, as you could probably see behind me, I've got Sgt Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles behind us, and that will be this episode's Dad versus Daughter clash, if you will. Probably not going to be a clash on this one, but I have a couple questions for her. So basically, I'm just going to ask her a couple of questions about the album and get her thoughts on it, and you already sort of know how I feel about it, obviously, especially if you've ever watched any of my videos, but just to give you a little bit of a background on it, it was probably one of the first rock records that I ever owned. I believe it may have been my first record I ever owned, but that was a rock record anyway, besides being, the Disney or Sesame Street records when I was little. My brother kind of turned me on to the Beatles and many of the other bands that I ended up listening to in the future. He was an older brother, so he was a little guy when the Beatles were popular. So I think that kind of got his interest involved in the Beatles. So, Adri, did you like Sgt. Pepper's?
Yeah, overall, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah. You think, now, what were your favorite songs on the album? She's going to have notes here, so she's going to, this is all new to her, so bear with us.
One of my favorites was definitely the first song, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely. When I'm 64 was also one of my favorites on the album.
That's a fun one. And now he's older than 64.
Yeah, so Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was actually one of the first songs I heard from the Beatles, I believe, and it was really good. I really liked that song.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Those are all your favorites on the album, or are there a couple others?
Yeah, those are my most favorite.
Okay. Would you say there are any songs you didn't like on the album?
Yeah, there's a few. Getting Better and Fixing a Hole I didn't really enjoy a lot. They just didn't really hit,
Okay. Now, the big question here is, how does Sgt. Pepper rank with albums that you listen to, like the kind of today's music that you listen to? How would you rank it amongst those types of songs and albums that you listen to?
Well, if I were gonna put it on a scale from 1 to 10, like being my favorite songs of all times is a 10, 1 being like I didn't like it at all. I would rank it about a 7. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And what are your thoughts about it in comparison to some of the new stuff that's out there?
Some of the new stuff,
like your favorites of the new stuff that's out there.
Some of the new stuff, of course there are some songs that I dislike, but the songs that I enjoy, this album would rank pretty close to those songs, I would think. Like, if it were to come on the radio, I would be like, oh, I know this song, play it, kind of vibe to it,
So would you say that overall it's probably as good or better than most of the new stuff that you like?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty equivalent.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Very cool. Well, so I don't one of the things that I think I made a Desert Island record video a few months back, and I promised I was probably going to make another one because there were so many records I just didn't put on there. Actually, this wasn't one of them, and I put the Beatles' White Album on there instead. Mainly because I think of the variations of music genres that were on that one. But this is one that probably got me started, and I think it may have been on my video that about getting me inspired to listen to music again, but I can't remember now, or not again, but initially. So, I think that about wraps it up. It sounds like we have similar views. She may not like it quite as much as I do, but she definitely liked the album. So I'm guessing we're gonna have several in the future. If you guys like this, especially, and if you do like it, please make sure and hit that like button. And let me know in the comments section also how you feel about this video format. Tell me if you think it's something that you would be willing to tune into later. And if you like what you see here, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want to know when I make new videos, please hit that alert bell too to let me know, or let you know, I should say, when I make new videos. So, anything else you want to say while we got the time here, Adri?
Not really.
All right.
Covered it all.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for us today. Thank you very much, and you guys have an awesome day.